به أن آتاه الله الملك إذ قال إبراهيم ربي الذي يحيي ويميت قال أنا أحيي وأميت قال إبراهيم فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب فبهت الذي كفر والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين أو كالذي مر على قرية وهي خاوية على عروشها قال أنى يحيي هذه الله بعد موتها فأماته الله 100 عام ثم بعث قال كم لبثت قال لبثت يوما أو بعد يوم قال بل لبثت 100 عام فانظر إلى طعامك وشرابك لم يتسنه وانظر إلى حمارك ولنجعلك آية للناس وانظر إلى العظام كيف ننشزها ثم نكسوها لحما فلما تبين له قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير وإذ قال إبراهيم رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي قال فخذ 4 من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم.
Have you turned your attention to one who disputed with Abraham about his Lord because God gave him power? Abraham said, "My Lord is he who gives life and death." He, the disputer, said, "I give life and death." Abraham said, "But God makes the sun rise from the east, so do you make it rise from the west?" He, the disputer, was confused by this, and in arrogance made him reject faith. And God does not give guidance to an oppressive people. Or take the example of one who passed by a small town, completely damaged up to its roofs. He said, "Oh, how will God be able to bring it to life after its death?" But God brought on the death of his consciousness for 100 years. Then God raised him up again. He asked him, "How long did you remain unconscious in death?" He replied, "Perhaps a day or part of a day." He said, "No, you have remained unconscious for 100 years. But look at your food and your drink. They don't show any signs of aging. And look at your donkey. And we make you a sign to the people. Take a further look at the bones, how we connect them and clothe them with flesh. When this was made clear to him, he said, I know that God has power over everything. Take notice, Abraham said. My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. He responded, don't you believe? He said, yes. But to relieve the burden on my mind, take 4 birds, train them to turn to you. Then put a portion of them on every mountain and call to them. They will come to you flying with speed. Then be aware that God is exalted in power, wise.
ألم مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Would you kindly shut down or silence your cell phones during the Jummah, and the brothers move up front and make room for those that's coming late. Thank you so much. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah Kareem wa ala alihi aswajihi duriyatihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I greet you again in the greeting that was revealed to us from Allah the Most High. Assalamu alaikum. Dear Muslims, brothers and sisters, visitors, people of faith, it's always a great honor, and it's by invitation from Allah the Most High that we are alive and that we are having an interest in attending the assembly of the Jummah on the sixth day, the day of creation, the day of trial, and the day of the entering into the Jannah al-Firdaus. I want to personally thank our Imam Talib Sharif for the invitation to come before the believers, and we pray the guidance of Allah the Most High, that whatever we can impart will advance us into al-akhirah. And we know that the future is the path of al-Islam, that the path that was begun when Allah the Most High subhanahu wa ta'ala established the universe. And what I'd like to address today is Quran, the light for the future. Now, the Quran, as we know, it comes from, in a sense, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of the Holy Quran as really a book but a book that can be seen in sort of duplicate in several ways. For one, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran is the message that is inexhaustible, because if there were 14 oceans, you would exhaust those waters before exhausting the message that's in this Quran. And we also know from having understood the message of the Quran, that the Quran comes out of the mother of the books, and that is the universe. And so the universe itself is the greater macrocosm of the message of the Quran, the 114 surahs being the microcosm, that is the distilled message, the distilled signs of Allah are in those few words that we hold in our hand as the Quran. And even after you put the book down, before you pick it up, if you've never have heard the message, if you've never read the message, if it was never imparted to you directly or indirectly, by virtue of being alive with your five senses and your akal, your intelligence in this life, you're going to get the message of the Quran just by living. Because the message of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that is above you, and the message of the Quran is already within you. It exists within your own nature, this message. So that's a duality. And then we examine the Quran, and it tells us that in itself, the Quran speaks on two planes. It says that it speaks in the obvious, what they call the mukama, that which is plain and that which is clearly expressed. And then it also has the mutushabiyah, that which has a higher understanding. So right in each word, each verse, each reference is talking to us on two levels. And while you can't prefer the esoteric over the obvious, that is, you can't go against the duty to be truthful, to believe in only one ilah, Allah the Most High. That's the plane. But at the same time, you have to also accept the esoteric, that we have to reject racial superiority. Because in seeing, the black is better than the white, the brown is better than the blue, that is a shirk of itself. And so we have to then accept the message on both levels, both what is obvious and what is the abstract application. And this is why the message of the Quran is the message of the future, because we know from having studied that the Quran was revealed in a place and a circumstance. That is, as the believers, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going through the struggle with the Quraysh, with the the kuffar and with the Bani Israel and with the Nazarenes, as he was going through these circumstances, he was receiving the guidance of Allah the Most High in the form of the revelation. And so Allah was giving him responses to his conditions. However, that was only one aspect of what Allah was revealing, because even though the verses were addressing a specific circumstance on a specific day in a specific place regarding specific persons, that Quran was also addressing at the same time the circumstances in 2015 on October the 23rd, which they say it is today, and it's addressing circumstances of 1,000, 100 million years in the future. And so this is the duality of how the Quran is the guidance for the future. Because not only did it give us a circumstance, it also gave us a logic for whatever circumstance may come. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala references this to us in the Quran when Allah tells us, have I not given you two eyes? Why? Why do we have two eyes? One for the muhkama and one for the mutashabiyah. With one eye is to understand the circumstances that you are in and the application of your situation. But the second eye, which has equal validity, is that we're to understand that out of our circumstances of dealing with one another, of trading, of marrying, of having conflict, having resolution, cooperating with one another, trading life and death, out of those circumstances, you develop principles of human behavior. And those principles then may be applied in the circumstances that we have not yet seen. So we have then a logic. So that the Prophet, praise and peace be upon him, he asked the people, what will you do if you don't have the answer in the message of the Quran, which had not been fully revealed at the time that these people were being sent forth? If you can't find it in what I have been received from Allah the Most High, if you can't find it in how I have dealt with that in terms of my own behavior and practice, then they said, then we will apply the logic of what we have. And this, dear believers, is where the circumstances have led us. And we have more reference. Allah, in this Quran, has put before us over and over again that we're to see what He has done, that He has given to everything in pairs. He says He has created things in pairs. He has talked about the East and the West, that He's the Lord of the East and He's the Lord of the West, that He's the Lord of mankind, but not just mankind. He's the Lord of who? He's the Lord of the jinn. He's the Lord of the female and the male, and they're not equal. They're not the same. And in that principle, it's talking about the function, that which is penetrating and is thinking and is active, and that is reactive. And that both of these, this pair is part of how we're to, in a circumstance, when we are the active force, we have to be able to use the guidance in that circumstance. And when we are reacting, when we're the receiver of circumstances, He's the Lord in that circumstance. And so Allah then tells us that He has blessed us, and we know that in the Surah Ar-Rahman, He talks about the two fountains and the two gardens, all to give us this idea that we are to exist both in the material reality that is coming into our five senses, and we have to exist on the level of abstract understanding. And the challenge that's coming into the Islamic world today, can we move from the material circumstances of 1400 years of doing things in a certain way, of having a certain picture of what constitutes Islam, and migrate into the logic where what we have seen in the Mukamah is not going to help us anymore? That we have to then take the principles of Islam and apply them in a world that is unlike the world in the Hijaz, where everything stops 5 times a day for the Salah, where everybody is speaking Arabic, where everybody is born understanding La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. But that's not the circumstance that's in America today. And in a world in which, when you say Muslim, an image comes to mind of someone who may be of Arab descent, maybe Pakistani, maybe Iranian, maybe Turkish, maybe Indonesian, maybe Somali, maybe, and we have this image. But we have to come into the idea that the Muslim doesn't have a physical portrayal. That what makes Muslims is the heart and the mind. This is the challenge for the Muslims. And as a result, we are thrown off balance when we come to America and we see in the heart of the beast, of the great Satan, an Islamic community, a people who have no reference to the Islamic world of the past, whose reference that Allah guided these people to believe in Him and to thereafter be upright, who don't speak Arabic as their first language, who can't go back more than 1, 2, 3 generations, who majority of their thought process came out of a understanding that they were Christians and that their God was a white man, and that their white God had a mother, and that they were second-class citizens, that they were rejected of Allah and only brought in by the kindness of their slave master. In that circumstance, do you have to bring your second eye now to understand that as we move forward, that what we have thought constitute the concepts of Islam is smaller than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for us. And so this is a challenge to understand that it is not my prerogative, it is not your prerogative to define the Muslim. that the problem with physicalizing what is Islam is the shaitan. He's not defeated by how regular you pray. He's not defeated by your saying Assalamu alaikum. He doesn't care how many times you made the Hajj, how you fast. But it's the principles that we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all people, men and women, are created equal and endowed with inalienable rights by their Lord, Allah. This is the challenge. And in that, why aren't the Muslims leading the movement for human rights over the world? It's because they're seeing Islam through one jaundiced, blind eye of being, if you are keeping a ritualized life, you have done what is necessary to be a Muslim. And there's no principle outside of, if I go and died, or Allah only wants one question: did you pray? Well, that sounds like what the Christian said. Did you accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior? That's all I know. You could be a rapist. You can be a pedophile. It doesn't matter how you live. Your quality of life is meaningless. You just have to have a catechism. This is what we have devolved to. Because we are blind in the eye that we have to see through, and that is al-Islam. The submission to the will of Allah is a principled life based on character, based on how you conduct yourself. And the test is you accept me, born from the Christians, as a Muslim. I don't need to fit your criteria. I need to fit Allah's criteria. And al-Islam is the light that lets me know that Allah has made this religion, that we're to see it on more than one level. Don't look at the obvious. You could be a prostitute in a hijab. That doesn't make the prostitution Islamic. And this is the problem that we are having. We say we are Muslim, but I meet you in the courthouse, charged with heinous behavior, unbecoming of the kuffar. So Islam is principle, and we have to see it through both eyes. It's not just the rituals. It's not just the clothing. It's the principled life of the believer. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have to, that there was one soul and He made it into pairs. That we have to have both the outward appearance of conduct pleasing to Allah. Allah is pleased when we are making salah. He's pleased when we are dressed properly. He's pleased when we are kind towards one another. But we also have to have the character inside of human decency. Because Islamic decency is human decency. There is no division in those things. So, how are we going to progress if we're falling into the same hypocrisy that has doomed the people who came before us, who said to Allah that if He would save them from the oppressor, and He sent Moses to them. And these were Muslims. The Muslims cried to Allah the Most High if they would save them from the oppressor, from Fir'aun. And He sent Moses to them. And before Moses was finished they had established a corrupt order called the golden calf in order to establish himself materially and to dominate people through false religion. The message of Christ came, and before the ink was dried on the message, it had become a tool of political dominance to conquer Africa, to conquer the Middle East, to conquer Asia, and to set forth before the people the image of the Caucasian as the image of Allah himself. And we have fallen into this behavior of seeing Islam is no more than trinkets. That's the past. The Quran is the light of the future. And to have that light, we have got to go beyond the small measure of what constitutes Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that He has indeed, without doubt, given unto us the Prophet as the Uswa Hasana, that will, as the example. And before him, he said that he gave us Prophet Abraham, alayhi salam, as an example for those, not only Abraham, but those who followed him. And he also said this of Isa, ibn Maryam. But we have turned our back on that, and we have come to idolize individuals, idolize cultures, to glamorize the people who are the celebrity of the moment. But if we are going to make progress in this deen, the challenge now is to take the principles of Islam and compete with the best of the Jews, compete with the best of the Christians, and who can establish the community that Allah wants. The Prophet was in Mecca. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to Al-Aqsa, Masjid Al-Aqsa. And from there, he was educated into the requirements of the ummah that Allah wanted. And then he came back down and established it at the center of it, in the Medina. And where did he establish it? He established this in the stronghold of the people who were polytheists. He established the city he went to, called Yathrib. Who were the powerful people there? The Muslims, they were almost non-existent. He established the Medina al-Munawwara in the city of the Jews, in the city of the pagans, in the city dominated by the Christians. And in that, he competed with them on the foundation of what it constitutes the proper society that Allah wants. That was symbolized by the Masjid Al-Aqsa, where under that people, they had established a government based on the concept of La ilaha illallah. Now they lost that, but they had established it. And they had lost it. But the Prophet went there. And from there he ascended. And he came back down. And then he established the foundation that was correct. And so we are here in the United States, in the capital of the United States. in the heart of the community that needs this message more than any other. And our responsibility is to make this message be seen by this neighborhood, not as people who are separated from them, who refer to them as the kuffar, who look down upon them because of they don't have this understanding. But it was through the principles of all of us have an equal innate dignity that the believers under our prophet, praise and peace be upon him, were able to make the Yathrib the Medina al-Nabi. And this is the challenge, dear believers, on us. Can we get out of Hollywood and get into neighborhood? Alhamdulillah. نستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به عز وجل أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الحمد لله السلام عليكم. We are told we understand that it was in on Mount on Arafat. I think it's called Mount Rahmah, where the Prophet gave his last sermon. Assalamu alaikum, Imam. I didn't know you were here. MashaAllah. That the Prophet was given the last of the revelation. And Allah made it clear that those people who saw a strategy to topple this deen, Allah says they have given up all hope of frustrating you in this religion. And that Allah had then found in us enough that he said that no, this wasn't Noah where he said, I'm going to kill everybody. And then Noah came and it got worse. He said, no, this day I have perfected for you and chosen for you this science called the Quran and the Sunnah as your deen. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the believers, this day is lawful to you the food of the people of the book, and lawful to you are their women to take as wives. And so what is this telling us? Okay, yes, we can see that with one eye. We can go eat a hamburger. We can marry Zuleika. But what is it saying on the other eye? We are to engage the whole world, and that their knowledge, we're to look into their knowledge, and what is good in their knowledge, we can take it. And we're to enter into relationships. And they did this in Andalus, in Spain. And they created a paradise on earth. And the people who wanted to advance, their method of advancing was to learn Arabic. It was called the lingua franca in there. It was the language of progress. Not for the Muslims, for all intelligent, educated human beings. This is what they did there. And what do we have here? America, a land that is named after Spain. And what happened in the East, the sun, dear believers, must rise in the West. And the challenge is to come out of our cloisters and engage the other communities and demonstrate to them that this is the power in America. That if the people want to become president, they don't go to AIPAC. They don't go to Israel. They come to the Muslims. Get our blessing. That the power is going to be here when we wake up to this great gift that Allah has bestowed upon us. This understanding that Allah has blessed this community with. The community that was called the descendants of Ham to become the hewers of water and wood. And yes, today we got the water. We got the human compassion to embrace the people that once enslaved us. We have the wood. We have the understanding of the traditional knowledge that will bring back the whole human being. We have kissed the black stone. We are the black stone. And this is fulfilling the prophecy in the Bible and in Quran. That this young child would ask, for what crime was she buried? This little girl. And this is where we have come to. That the way the progress is through Islam. And the way through Islam is that you have to accept Muslims that you may not find meet your description of Islam. Their hair may be different. Their skin may be different. Their accent may be different. They may not have your pedigree. But Allah is the one who proposes and the one who disposes. And Allah is blessing America to be on the cutting edge of establishing the Islamic ideal, the Islamic intelligentsia, the Islamic purpose. And it is the challenge, can we, who say we're Muslim, can you accept to be led by a black man? A Negro? That's your challenge. But this is what we have come to. It is time to look at this and say the big problem in the world and the greatest solution in the world is who has the heart of America, of the United States. And Allah has positioned us. We morally are on the top of the mountain in America. The people whose enslavement established this country, these are the people Allah is now bringing to Islam. And we should be cooperating to establish the Islamic life. Not running from us, not working against us. Well, those people, they're not really Muslim. They secretly with Elijah Muhammad. They have a bastardized Islam. Their women don't dress correctly. Their men, their pants legs aren't rolled up. You can't judge me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the final judge of what is Islam and what is not. Allah has blessed us to see Barack Obama in the White House, a man whose ancestry is Islam. This is a sign from Allah that He's with us. But we have to be able to come out of a narrow definition of what constitutes Islam, what constitutes Muslim, and see that it isn't always that which is obvious. You know, they didn't look to the Arabs. They said the Arabs, they are dead. That's Jahiliyyah. They were looking to the Jews. to find that last prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to send. And when they said it's in Arabia, it's impossible. What good can come out of that, people? Those people are there, they're savages. But where you and all your science didn't look, that's where Allah went. And He raised up the one that they said, oh, he's illiterate. He has no education. He has no degrees. He doesn't have one doctorate. He hasn't been to our schools. He doesn't know the Talmud. He doesn't know the Kabbalah. He has no secret wisdom. He hasn't been trained. But Allah raised him up to lead Prophet Abraham in prayer. And Allah gave him 5. The discernment. That's what it means. He gave him the discernment. He gave him the intelligence. And he said, if you got this 5, you get the credit of 50. And what is 50? The knowledge of the 5, the understanding. And we know the ascent is 50,000 years. And so now, what happened there is happening again. Allah is blessing the people who everyone says, hey, these people, these are nothing but the American Negroes. They have no value. They're worshiping Master Farad. But Allah is in charge. And that was a smokescreen to give us time to learn Al-Fatiha, to learn to say Assalamu alaikum that you might accept. But the future of America is the Quran. And the people who have the ability to bring it to the white man is the American Negro. Akim as-salat.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayallahu salat, hayallahu salat, hayallahu falat, hayallahu falat. Iqamati salat, iqamati salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbi. Let's start. Let me know when we're ready. All right, let's make our intentions to make 2 rak'ah for Allah's sake. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اقرأ بسم الله خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ ربك الأكرم الذي علم بالكلام علم الإنسان ما يعلم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. تكبير تكبير تكبير. Let us say Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Thought you were out of town. It's good to see you. MashaAllah.
Assalamu alaikum. Brief announcements, inshallah, some are very important announcements. Certainly want to thank Imam Raouf. A lot of what he said had a lot to do with why I couldn't be here. Getting here late. We had something very historical happening at the National Cathedral. It actually started last night. We got several international leaders, national leaders, different faiths coming together now. In fact, we had a nice program at the cathedral. We called the people to the wonders of God. And after we did, it was wonderful to see people who rejected Muslims, said bad things about Muslims, the evangelical leadership, etc., got up and now say they're praying for Muslims. And they're endeared to Muslims, and they have a love for Muslims. That's something we have not been hearing. And we heard several leaders. We had about 30 or more leaders to speak to the media immediately after the program, representing different interests. And again, we had someone from Saudi Arabia, someone from South Africa, someone from Pakistan, and different other places that was also there as well. So this is a great time and great day that we're living in right now. We all need to be able to read the sign of the times. What's happening in our time. Everybody has so much time, but things are happening significant in our time, so understand your place in time and be one of those who are reading what's happening today. We want to thank you, man, for covering some of the things that are in line with what was just happening. We do know today also we're going to be leaving for the men's and sons, men's and youth, the males. They'll be going to camp today, this evening. Let me give you the address. They're going to start setting up at 5 o'clock, and I think we're about the only ones that have this facility, so you'll be able to find us once you come through the gate. It's the Watkins Regional Park, 301 Watkins Park Drive, and that's in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. We're going to be there for 2 nights and a day, spending time together, men, training, speaking, Islamic studies, praying together, dealing with Islamic foundations, talking about how to eat off the land, etc. So we hope that you men will join us and try to bring a son, whether he's your son or not. Try to bring a son with you. Try to bring a youth, try to bring a male with you, and so we can begin to strengthen the bonds and begin to connect and take away the gaps that divide us, and do the things we used to do in terms of this rites of passage, etc. Teaching manhood and the fundamentals of this religion. So hopefully we'll see you all there. Again, they'll be setting up. The primary team will be there setting up at 5 o'clock. And again, they're easy to find. Once you come to the gate, just keep driving. You'll see them setting up. You'll see the tents, etc. We're going to be sleeping in tents, and we'll be on the land. Should be plenty of parking for you to drive there. Again, more information, see Karan. Tommy is the leader. He's at the door. See him at the door. And there may be some others. But those are the main two, Karan and Brother Tommy. So see them. I hope to see many of you there with us. We're getting closely approaching the celebrate marriage. It's very important, fulfilling half your deen. We know that's very important, particularly in this society when we see people that they have a different idea of what it means to be married. So we're going to celebrate marriage upon the foundation of which Allah, highly glorified as He established it upon. That's going to take place November the 7th. We have Brother Kwame. I just saw him. He's right here. See him. They got an early bird special. The early bird special still going on? Early bird special still going to see him. See his wife, Sister Rafia. She's in the back under the portrait over there. They should be set up downstairs. And we're trying to get a full house for this event. You don't have to be married to attend this event. So if you're single, male or female, and of course marriage couple, we want everybody to come there so we can celebrate marriage, something that God has created and ordained for all human beings. And we have workshops to take place before the banquet. And we're going to be in the Tabar. It's called, what's the Tabar? Tabur or Tabar? Tabir. Tabir restaurant got a nice area. Some of you are familiar with it. So we plan to have a good time there, inshallah. Share will be taking place tomorrow. Again, always looking for men and strong men to help deliver packages to people who need the food. So again, be here in the morning. They got a team that leaves out about 5 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. They go to the warehouse to get the food. They're up early. Sisters are here. I'm still ashamed to see senior sisters here who are 70, 80, 90 years old here struggling because the men are not here to help them get the packages together. That's still a shame. We need to change that. So we need to get more to come in the mornings to help take care of the food and also deliver it. Don't leave that work just a few, just one day a month. One day a month that we come out and take packages, put them together, and take them out to those who are part of the share program. And it's an interfaith program. Interfaith program. So hopefully we have more here. The Masjid Protection and Safety meeting has been rescheduled. That will not be tomorrow. That's rescheduled. So it's on your bulletin, but it's rescheduled till when? The 1st of November. 31st. So that's the following Saturday. The following Saturday at 10 o'clock, and it's mandatory if you want to serve in any capacity, you want to help out in any capacity, you want to volunteer in any capacity, with hosting, safety, anything that you want to do to help, you have to make this class. You'll be certified, professional training, and you'll be annual training. You'll get a badge, you get a certificate, etc. So you need to make that training. If you can't make that training, let somebody know that you're interested so we can get you down for a makeup class, inshallah. But Saturday, it'll be about a 2, maybe 3-hour class. Next Saturday, starts next Saturday for that class, inshallah. The Youth Weekend program is starting back up. This will be the 4th cycle. And it's also really entering into a 1-year piece. And they're already started meeting about plans for the future of education and getting back something permanent for our community. But please support the youth program. That's what's giving us the energy and the motivation, and some of the expert teachers coming back, the confidence is coming back. We got people coming that's not even part of this community, putting their children in that weekend program. Help the program, support the program, sponsor youth, invest money, invest your time. So that's Sunday from 10 to 1:30. Again, we hope to see you with your youth there, inshallah. And let's see, celebrate marriage. The next general membership meeting, our community meeting, we're going to update the whole community on where we are, on everything, what's been happening. We hope to have the architect here as well. Things have just been taking place. I think today we had the structural engineer here today. So you get an update on what's been taking place. We're trying to keep things moving forward. We need to have money continue to come in. We're not trying to have $1 million up front to pay for the project. We're going to do it as time goes along, but we need money to keep things progressing. So far, there's been no gap. We've been moving forward because you have money coming in. Please continue to make pledges. Please continue to make contributions towards this development. And you're going to love, it's just been enhanced. You're going to love the enhancements and to the artwork in terms of what we're trying to establish here, called the Nation's Mosque. And it's beautiful to see people around the world that we met with, leaders who have been looking at our page, looking at our website, coming to this country now, that we met them just now in front of the cathedral, have viewed us from around the world. and they're excited about what we're trying to do. And the history, this 80-year community history, how we've gone from that small circle of connecting with our life as a people into this big circle of being able now to embrace all of humanity. It's a beautiful picture. And we want this to be an expression of that soul that Allah put in us to be what He said. Wait, Raouf at? Did he leave out? He had to leave? To be leaders. To be leaders. To come from the bottom to the top. So that'll be November the 15th. So plan to be there, save the date, and it'll be a breakfast. Starts at 10 o'clock. It'll be a breakfast at 10 o'clock, and then we'll have a meeting that day, inshallah. So that's November. Just trying to keep transparency. Again, we're a little bit late, but I don't want to hold it off any longer, so we're going to plan that meeting for November. And we'll still have the State of the Community address. We'll probably move that back to maybe the first or second week in February, so it won't be too close. But we want to keep the community informed of what we're doing. Assalamu alaikum. Hold up.
Can we make the announcement about the rally for Tamara Gliss?
Oh, yeah. This is a very important rally going to be taking place. And I'm going to give you details right now, but please listen to this. It's a very important rally that really is expected that Muslims be out front on this.
Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to say for those who can, this Sunday at 1:30 we're having a rally at the Kennedy Playground right on the basketball court. Some of you may remember that Memorial Day a young woman was killed, May 25th. And this is the rally to honor and to remember Tamara Gliss. She was an innocent bystander. She wasn't involved in anything illegal. She was a daughter. She was a mother. And, she was murdered. And her murderer has not been caught, nor the weapon. And this is a joint venture. The Kuba today I thought was excellent because the man was saying we've got to walk the talk. We can't just get hung up on rituals and be concerned with stuff that's 10,000 miles away. This is 4 blocks from the masjid where this is taking place, and we're joining with Shiloh Baptist Church and United House of Prayer and other churches. Thank you. 1:30 Sunday.
1:30 Sunday. Give them the address.
At the Kennedy Playground. You're right. Right. For those you don't know, it's right at 7th and P.
So please, again, these are the kind of things we should be participating in. I also see my brother Imam from Indiana. Please come on up, brother Imam. You want to get a greetings? Okay, brother Imam. Good to see you. Good to see you. Alhamdulillah. We thank all our guests who've come to see us for the first time, second time, third. We really thank you, and please feel welcome to come to see us again. Assalamu alaikum.